I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I feel like I'm on top of the world.
Disclaimer, you will not be transported to the top of the world. In the unlikely event you find yourself at the Arctic Circle, seek shelter from the elements immediately to avoid frostbite and or hypothermia. Geico will not be responsible if you find yourself in a cave or crevasse with a lonely abominable snowman, who in all likelihood will force you to play games including but not limited to Go Fish, charades, Chinese checkers, or his personal favorite, Red Rover, send Yeti on over. Geico is not liable for any damages, either physical or emotional.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
A Football Friday getting you set for what's going to be a great weekend of football in the NFL and capped by the national championship game in college football. Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests will join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's what we've got coming up throughout the day here on the show. In a few minutes, Sal Paolantonio, our intrepid ESPN NFL reporter, will join us. He's going to be covering the Doug Marrone Bowl for us. Buffalo at Jacksonville.
That? Yes.
We'll get to that. Field Yates will join us at 7:30 Eastern, ESPN NFL insider and a former scout for the New England Patriots.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to, from the scout side of it, the quarterbacks coming into the draft this year, especially that the wild card, and I agree with you, Baker Mayfield, on what he presents and coming into the NFL.
He will be the swing state. There's no question about that. Andre Reed, Hall of Fame wideout for the Buffalo Bills, proud of Kutztown State, by the way, will join us to talk about the Bills' resurgence and back into the postseason. And boy, could they use a wide receiver like Andre Reed right now for that Bills offense.
Yep.
And then at 9:30 Eastern, Gus Malzahn,
this can be great,
Auburn head coach, who had lay claim to having played all three teams that believe they should be the national champion.
So we're flat out going to listen. So he beat Georgia, he beat Alabama, and he lost to Central Florida. We're just going to flat out ask him which is the best team. Who is the national champion?
Yeah, and he will be be the vote.
He's the deciding factor.
It won't be the game on Monday. It won't be UCF's parade. It will be Gus Malzahn.
That's exactly right. He holds the key.
He has the key to it all. Who will decide who is indeed the national championship in college football. Okay, so we have a lot of that going on for you. We'll get to all of that, but let's start for a little bit with what's trending. This is important. I thought we were going to stop that after one day.
I do kind of like that.
You do
actually.
like that one?
Yeah.
They said the regular one is up there now. Okay, not LeBron, not Steph, not Westbrook, but Giannis Antetokounmpo is the leader, the early leader in NBA All-Star voting.
Yeah, over 863,000 votes. LeBron is second with over 856,000, so pretty close. The only other player with over 800,000, LeBron's former teammate, Kyrie Irving. How about that?
Yeah.
And it's interesting this year as they're doing the top two vote getters are the captains, and they're doing kind of a secret draft. Nobody will know the order of the draft, so nobody knows if they were picked last.
Nobody's feelings get hurt.
Nobody has to go through what went through.
I've gone through my entire athletic career.
I find that kind of interesting. Here you have a bunch of superstars making a gazillion dollars, but we always talk about ego. And is this to partly protect their egos of, is LeBron, would he pick Kyrie, or who's picked last, or that kind of situation. But I guess ego is involved. We're finding out with the Seth Wickersham story of egos in New England. We go back to what we've talked about a lot with Kobe and Shaq and others. There have been, they're not the first or last professional athletes to have egos out there that could affect what they do. But I do find it kind of interesting in the NBA All-Star Game that's kind of a secret draft, so nobody knows where they were picked.
Well, look, I mean, we talked about it in sort of the relationship to what we have with the Seth Wickersham story.
Right.
There was never a reason for Kobe and Shaq to break up in L.A.
Yep.
It was really, Kyrie left because he wanted to be his own guy in Boston, so we can't dismiss the idea that egos aren't a part of this, so it makes it a very interesting sort of dynamic for the vote, and we'll see how it all plays out for the All-Star Game. But again, right now, Giannis leading the way. We continue. Better. The Celtics are going to retire Paul Pierce's jersey on February 11th, which is the same night Isaiah Thomas and the Cavs come back to town. And the truth, Paul Pierce apparently doesn't want to share the spotlight with Isaiah when they're going to plan a video tribute to him that night.
This was very interesting. So, again, it wasn't the other night because Isaiah Thomas didn't start. And so it's going to be that February 11th. And on the jump, Paul Pierce talked about, that it was kind of his night with the retirement jersey. And it seemed like outside of Rachel Nichols, who was hosting the show, it seemed like the others were like, maybe there's too many of these, tribute videos going out anyway, that like Isaiah Thomas and others get, that maybe there's too many of those anyway. And it certainly didn't sound like, now, I don't know if Paul Pierce was kind of goaded into saying this.
It felt like Steven Jackson was his hype man for this.
Was kind of his hype guy, and Paul Pierce really got into, that's my night. Maybe he's going to have to wait another year for his. But he did keep going with it, saying that, he didn't think it should be on the same night. And I know, 5-6 hours ago, Paul Pierce tweeted, "Are we really making a story out of this?" Well, you helped. You helped. You kind of threw a little gas on this fire. You could have easily said, you know what? There's 41 home games. I can do it at any home game. This is the last time Isaiah Thomas is coming back to Boston to do a tribute video. So that could have been, the way to go. You had the microphone in front of you. So, yeah, it's going to become a little bit of a story.
Paul, we love you.
Yeah.
We think you're great.
Absolutely.
You're doing great stuff for us on our family of networks. We love your analysis. But this is what you started.
Yeah.
I mean, Rachel said, can you do both? Yeah. Rachel said, why can't you do the video for IT right when he comes back, beginning of the game? Hey, welcome back. Here's a video for you. Then basically the rest of the night is for Paul Pierce. Can you not do them both? Yeah.
I mean, I don't
know. It seems like you could. But, hey, I'm just a simple caveman.
Or could Paul Pierce just pick another night?
There you go.
I mean, say, hey, I get it, but I guess we talk about ego sometimes.
Yes, but let's not pretend like you're not a part of why this is a story.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
And we love you, Paul. We love you. But let's just call it what it is. And we'll finish up what's trending. Apparently, pumping gas,
Mike, amazing,
is not a skill you're born with. You want to explain this?
Oregon is no longer a state. I didn't want to stop there because it is still, a state. No longer a state in which your gas is pumped for you. In Oregon, they had a rude awakening this week attempting to complete this task. Pictures flooded social media of people driving away with the pump still attached.
Come on.
Taking selfies and missing the tank as they pump gas.
How do you miss the tank?
It's not that difficult. Now, again, if it's something you've never done, it was weird for me because when I played for the Eagles, I lived in Jersey.
Yes.
In Jersey, the first time I was stunned. I mean, I didn't know when I first got to Philly and we moved to Jersey and I pull into a gas station, I get out and I'm going for the pump and the guy's losing his mind. He said, no. I'm like, what? He said, you don't pump gas in Jersey. I'm like, I've done it all my life. But it's not that difficult. And then to drive away with it still in the gas. Like my worst fear when I was young and the first time I started driving and getting my own gas, in the car and stuff is don't leave it in the gas tank. That's unbelievable that they're that inept at it, though.
Yeah, well, two things there. One, I feel like if you can't get the nozzle into the gas tank, that's like your Chevy Chase in vacation. He was trying to find the gas tank.
How do you miss
on the sports wagon? The family truckster. And number two, I also have a confession to make. I did once pull away with the gas.
You did?
Yeah, I was late getting somewhere, like 3 years ago. I was late getting somewhere, and I pumped the gas. Went to pay, and I pulled it, and the thing just jerked.
How bad was it? I mean,
it jerked right off the gas tank, just right off. I had to go in and say, "Hey, man, sorry." And the guy was really mad at me. I'm like, "I'm coming in to apologize. I will pay for this. It wasn't as expensive as I thought."
Wow.
But my mind was somewhere else.
Remember and I know you can, and Sal Paolantonio is getting ready to join us. I know he can as well. Remember when you had to get gas and the gas was behind the license plate?
Yes.
Where you folded down the license plate. Nobody behind the glass knows anything of what we're talking about right now.
We could say payphones and they'd be looking at us with this blank expression like, what is that? I don't know what that means.
Come on, you Oregonians. You can do it.
You can do better than this.
You can do it.
One of the early great video games was the Oregon Trail about how you had to forage for food and ration stuff
exactly
to get
right.
yourself going, and you can't get the gas pumping thing? Come on, guys. Oregon as a state, you're better than this.
You are.
You're better than this.
You are. Come on.
And they'll get that turned around. Okay, that was Straight Talk, us pep talking Oregon.
Sure it was.
Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. You know who also always gives us the Straight Talk?
Who's that?
Our man Sal.
Yes, he does.
Sal Paolantonio joins us now on the Shell Pennzoil Performance line, taking synthetic motor oil performance to a whole new level. Make the switch to Pennzoil Synthetics today. And Sal, I have to believe that you've never had a problem pumping gas, being a Philadelphia/Southern Jersey guy.
Yeah, listen, I live in Jersey, and this morning I thank the baby Jesus that I do, because from NFL films, I'm going to the airport, but I'm going to stop at the Wawa, and it's 5 below, and I don't have to get out of my car. Somebody else is going to pump the gas for me, and that is a beautiful thing.
That is, at times it comes in very, very handy, but
very handy.
But the
Absolutely. It comes in really handy when you're a pregnant mom and you have 3 kids in the car and you don't want to get out of the car. I've seen my wife have to handle that. So I'm telling you, it has its benefits. The gas prices are low in New Jersey, and you don't have to pump your gas. Living in Jersey is good. And you got the Jersey Shore. Those are the 3 best things about living in New Jersey.
And to me, you mentioned the best thing, the Wawa. That's probably the most food I ever ate.
Wawa's number 4, yeah. I stop in, I get my Philly Daily News, I get my coffee, cake, and coffee, and I'm on my way. I'm good to go.
There you go.
The Wawa just overwhelms you with selection.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, you walk in there and you're like, oh my, I can literally get anything I want at a Wawa. Absolutely fantastic. All right, Sal, you're going to be covering the Doug Marrone Bowl for us, for lack of a better term. Buffalo Bills heading down to Jacksonville to take on the Jags, who, of course, are coached by Marrone, who left the Bills after the 2014 season when he led them to 9 wins, of their first winning season in a long time. The biggest question, I think, for Buffalo in this game is obviously going to be Shady McCoy. He hurt his ankle in that win over Miami. Where are we in his readiness to play? Because he is really the Bills' offense.
He is, and we know that Shady's got snow tires. He was born with snow tires. We're about to find out if he can finish the Indy 500 with a bum wheel. He's got a bad ankle. He's got pain in his right ankle, and he's a right-handed running back, which means he cuts first on his. You look at him on film, I would say it's 80 to 85%. I don't have the number. I'm just going, empirically. I think he cuts on his right angle 80 to 85% first. So that tells you a lot about how much he really relies on his right ankle. And he's got pain in it, and he said he wants to go. But his nickname's not Shady for nothing. I've covered this guy for a long time. You never can tell what he's going to bring, on and off the football field. So I'm just going to say this. I expect him to give it a go as much as he wants to play in this game, multiply it by 20 because it's this particular game and he wants to play in this particular game in the playoffs. I just can't believe Chip Kelly traded LaShawn McCoy. That's the most, I look at this and I'm like, can you imagine if Nick Foles could line up with LaShawn McCoy in the playoffs? It goes down in the annals of bad trades in Philadelphia history. You look at Will Chamberlain and Norman Brayman allowing Reggie White to go in free agency. You were there. You remember, Michael.
Yes.
And then Shady McCoy shipped out of town unceremoniously by Chip Kelly. Shady is a phenomenal running back. You look at his numbers. Since he came into the league, he has more rushing yards than Adrian Peterson. In fact, he's number 1. He's got more than I almost said Al Gore. Frank Gore. Not Al Gore. Not Frank Gorshin. Frank Gore. But, he's a tremendous running back. And I think in this particular game, Trey, you have to look at their second best running option. And you know who that is.
That's Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, it's Tyrod Taylor, without a doubt. Now, I did radio sideline for ESPN Radio for Bills Pats a couple of weeks ago in Foxborough. And I watched Bill Belichick and Matt Patricia bottle up Tyrod Taylor in a way that I haven't seen thus far. As a matter of fact, you look at Tyrod Taylor's rushing attempts and yards against New England. The first matchup in Buffalo, it was 3 carries for 32 yards. Then it was 3 carries for half that, 16 yards on Christmas Eve in Foxborough. They bottled them up, and they used number 59, Marquise Flowers, as a spy on Taylor very, very effectively. And if I know anything about Marrone and Coughlin, the way they run this team, I'm sure they have dissected that tape, and they've looked at how teams, especially the Pats, bottled up Taylor in the pocket.
So, Sal, on the other side of this with Jacksonville, heavy favorite in this game. The question to me from the beginning of the year, I thought Blake Bortles would be the quarterback this year, and then they'd go in a different direction next year. We saw he struggled early on. The games 12, 13, and 14, though. He had really big games. Last 2 games, not so much. Where is the confidence level of Blake Bortles and Jacksonville?
Well, I think the confidence level in their running game and Leonard Fournette, to answer your question, sort of obtusely, is that's very high. And, Fournette was used heavily in the last game. And they found out they couldn't over-rely on him, that the Bortles had to make some plays, and he couldn't. And so that is an issue. But this is a matchup that sets up well against Buffalo's rushing defense. The Bills, and I've seen a bunch of their games this year, they're very good on the perimeter. You're not going to get past Sean McDermott's bend, don't break defense that he learned from Jim Johnson. Their problem is they can't get after the passer. They can't get after the quarterback like Jim Johnson used to do in Philadelphia. So that's the problem, and that has allowed the quarterbacks to make some plays underneath and get the ball down the field. Can Bortles do that is the question. If Fournette is bottled up by the Buffalo defense, I think they're going to rely heavily on Fournette. You got to give credit, really, to Tom Coughlin and Doug Marrone, to instill the level of discipline that they have. Go to the running game, have the most rushing attempts. The quarterback's best friend is a great rushing attack. And they have, for the most part, right, Michael? For the most part, they have resuscitated Blake Bortles' career. I mean, he's had some bumps along the road this year, but if they can get the running game going, they can dictate what they want in this football game, I think.
Sal Paolantonio with us, our intrepid ESPN reporter who will be covering the game between the Jags and the Bills. And as much as we've talked about, Tyrod Taylor being bottled up, Blake Bortles rather having to do things well. Can Tyrod Taylor make any plays in the passing game? Because they have been the worst at this basically through the regular season, Sal, with what's going on with their wide receivers. And now you're going up against A.J. Bouye on one side and Jalen Ramsey on the other side and a front seven that led the NFL in sacks. So, Bortles has to be mistake-free, but Tyrod is going to have to make some plays in this game.
You're absolutely right, Trey. And it's not a good matchup. The numbers are daunting. We all know what the numbers are. The Jags defense has been near the top of the league in sacks, in points allowed, in quarterback hits. You mentioned Ramsey. He is a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. There's no question about that. That's a bad matchup for Kelvin Benjamin, who's got a torn meniscus. Is going to have off-season surgery. So it's not a good matchup in the passing game, and it comes down to, is Tyrod Taylor going to be able to get out of the pocket, break down the Jags defense, and throw well enough on the run, or, moving out of the pocket? You're going to have to move the launch point. There's no question they will have to move the launch point for Tyrod Taylor. And he's pretty good. I've watched a lot of his games on tape and in person. He's pretty good at running and throwing, moving and running on the same and throwing at the same time. He's got big hands. He's not like Teddy Bridgewater. His hands are big. His ball comes out with a lot of spin, so it doesn't sail on him. He's very accurate, and he's got a very underrated arm in terms of strength. He can really get the ball down the field. So if you have leakage down the field, he will find somebody. So, yes, the answer is yes. He can make a play or two, and he certainly can be dangerous. He's the second leading rusher on the team running the football.
Well, that'll be the case if they want to extend this playoff run now that they've gotten in for the first time in 17 seasons. Sal, as always, we appreciate you joining us. Go get that gas pumped and get to the Wawa and enjoy your day, my friend.
Thanks, Sal.
Medium coffee, Daily News, I'm good to go. I'll be waiting for the plane, I'm sure, all afternoon.
Yeah, it might take a while. Settle in. Sal Paolantonio with us on Golic and Wingo. Thanks, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you very much.
And to the point that we've talking about with that Jaguar defense, people need to understand from a historical perspective, the Jaguars have allowed fewer passing yards per game than the Legion of Boom Seahawks in 2013, the 2000 Ravens, and the 85 Bears. 3 defensive units that all spearheaded Super Bowl runs. And this is in the most passing-friendly era in the history of the NFL. Now, I get it, the Ravens and the Bears, they didn't. But the 2013 Seahawks, remember, they took down in the Super Bowl Peyton Manning when he broke the record 55 touchdown passes, most passing yards, most points per game. This Jacksonville defense has done better than that unit did. And I think that tells you, I mean, people are like, oh, yeah, Jacksonville, they're a nice story. they're legitimately scary on the defensive
side
of the ball.
I mean, the nice story, quite honestly, is, listen, I think the Bills are getting better and better, but it's a nice story that they made the playoffs for the first time in, 17 years. And a lot of people are saying that they're so hype about that, they have to remember there's a playoff game. Well, it's not like they're playing seasoned vets in the playoffs in Jacksonville either. It's a couple of, a lot of players on these two teams that don't know what the playoffs look like. But to me, the only key for Buffalo is Shady McCoy.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, even if he's going to play, he's not going to be 100%. So that is a big, big time miss for them if he can't be 100% and or play, especially against what you correctly said, a smothering defense from Jacksonville. If you're a Bills fan, I get it. You want your team to win that whole thing. But, man, I don't know how Jacksonville is not winning this game.
Look, from the matchup, it looks really tough, especially with the injury to Shady. And, look, anything's possible. We've seen all kinds of crazy things happen.
Yeah.
But if you just go by the matchups inside the matchups, it doesn't look good for Buffalo going up against that defense. But you know what is a good look for Buffalo? They sent out the tweet after Sunday that they were going to send wings.
They did. They sent wings.
1,440 wings.
I wonder how they got that number, 1,440. Is there a reason that I'm missing?
Yeah, we'll get a research to look that out. Riley, figure that out.
1,440
90 pounds of celery, 30 pounds of carrots, 6 gallons of blue cheese, 9 gallons of Duff's wing sauce, and a ton of thank you sent to the Bengals from the Buffalo Bills.
So you eat wings. You're a wing guy, right?
Yeah. Hotter the better.
When you get your choice, ranch or blue cheese, where do you go?
Well, see, you're going to be very offended with me. I'm not a dressing guy at all.
Really?
I'm just all in. Yeah, I'm not a condiment guy. Outside of ketchup and barbecue sauce, not a condiment guy.
I'm not that offended. I mean, just getting the taste of the wing, that's okay.
The hotter the better. Just give me the wing.
I don't do the hotter the better. I like it on the medium side. I really don't.
Well, as you saw with the chip challenge, I like it hot.
You do. You do well. I could go right without the sauce, but I like blue cheese.
Well, I'll
do them both.
Like when I do salads, no dressing on the salad.
Really?
No dressing on the salad.
Oh, I kind of lather mine, lose the whole effect of
I
had a salad.
Yes, bathed in 6 gallons of blue cheese and 9 gallons of Duff's wing sauce.
You could pour my salad into a cup.
It's really a shake. It's a smoothie. It's a dressing smoothie with a little kale in there to make you feel
better. Good for
better.
them. That whole thing has been very, very cool.
It's been great.
With the donations to Andy Dalton's foundation and the wings inside. It's been a cool story.
To that point now, we talked about it. It's now over $315,000 to Andy Dalton's foundation.
Great.
Buffalo
nice.
Bills Mafia, good for you.
Absolutely.
All right, coming up, we've been discussing the story that Seth Wickersham had on ESPN.com about some tensions in the Patriots facility between Bill Belichick, Robert Kraft, the owner, and Tom Brady. Up next, we'll talk to a guy who used to be in that building and what he has to say about it. Golic and Wingo here with you Friday. Hope your weekend is off to a good start or getting there or thinking about it, as it's been a little chilly on the entire East Coast, and hope you survived everything that went on with the storm, which was interesting. And certainly unique. And if you weren't here and you were in Arizona or California, somewhere warm, good for you. We're so happy for you. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. But we are joined in studio now by our ESPN NFL insider, Field Yates, giving us the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. First and foremost, people may not know or forget, you actually played college football at Wesleyan.
That's right. Good old Middletown, Connecticut.
And you were a safety or a linebacker?
Safety, yeah. Safety. Reserve specialist mostly.
But you were a college football player, because people look at you now and you look like a marathon runner. By the way.
Weirdly enough, yes, training for the 2018 Boston Marathon right now, which is we were talking about.
Our fine producer's like in my ear. That's why we said it.
The training for that, when my wife was training for the New York Marathon, it's ridiculous.
It's like a part-time job, because you have two options. You can train and survive, or you can not train and subject yourself to hours and hours and hours of torture during the marathon, which it will probably still be torturous. But yeah, it's like, you're constantly planning, especially the long runs of the weekends. It's like, hey, I can't do this on Saturday morning because I got to run 14 miles.
It is
first.
Crazy.
Commitment.
I mean, it's crazy. She would go run places, and I would be at the Harvest, the place I talk about waiting for her. How awful is that? I mean, brutal. She's running there, and I'm just waiting. Can you hurry it up, hon? We got to order here. Can you get that last couple of miles in?
Meanwhile, she's probably like, I'm starving. Like, don't tell me about your desire for some food.
I'll be with you in a minute. I'm busy.
Unreal. That training. Good luck to you on that.
Okay.
It should be fun.
So not only are you going to be running the marathon, and you are a fantasy insider, and you do all these wonderful things, but before you came to us, you were
Worked for the Patriots,
As
yes, in the scouting staff, yes.
Okay.
So
you are intimately aware of the organization and the hierarchy and how it's built.
Right.
So having seen the Seth Wickersham article, which I'm sure you have,
yes.
Your thoughts are what?
Well, so I think that there are people this morning in the Patriots organization that have said, like, I'm not sure how much I, meaning them, personally see this dynamic play out day to day. Like, this catches some people by surprise in some ways. But at the same time, this piece is focused on three men and their relationship. Obviously, Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and Robert Kraft, the owner. So I think that if there are those that are wondering this morning, like, is the Patriots organizational field toxic day to day? No. I mean, they're 13-3 with the first seed in the AFC.
I was about to say, everybody should be that toxic, right?
Yes, I was going to say, this should be what you emulate, not what you try to avoid. There are elements, though, that I think if you look closely at how things have gone this season, you understand how we've gotten to this point. A lot of it obviously focuses on, the decision to trade Jimmy Garoppolo when the team did. You think back to this offseason, and we know that Adam Schefter is the most connected man in football. He said a long time ago, I want to say it was like right after last season concluded, the Patriots are not trading Jimmy Garoppolo. They're not doing it. And I can just tell you that there were overtures from multiple franchises, specifically the Browns, as we know, on several occasions to try to pry away Jimmy Garoppolo from the Patriots. And they were ardent in their stance. It's not going to happen. And then it happened all of a sudden on October 30th or 31st. And that also happened on the heels of having traded their other backup quarterback,
Jacoby Brissett,
at the beginning of the previous month, Jacoby Brissett. So it does feel like that, that is an example of something that feels like it was not driven by the conventional Patriots football wisdom, right? It was, if they had this plan going into the season, what changed about this plan? And it sounds like at that point, emotions may have played a part in it. At the end of the day, I also think that a relationship between two people like Tom Brady and Bill Belichick can wear during a season, as is the case. I've talked about this with some of our player analysts, and I'm sure you can speak to this as well. It's like sometimes the hardest part of the season when you're making the playoffs is the last portion of the regular season, because it's like the playoffs are hovering there. We just got to get there. Once we get there, it's like eyes on the prize. But right now, it's the dog days of December or late November in the football season. And I think that have there been tough times for Belichick and Brady this year? There have been. Has it been different than other years? In some ways, yes. I think probably some people would still say, hey, listen, I will take our situation as it is.
Right.
Given the circumstances we have in front of us. We are watching football this Saturday and Sunday to find out our opponent for next Saturday. Pretty good spot to be in, all things considered.
Yeah, it is. Listen, there's no situation that's ever perfect. Behind the scenes, it's always a little more rough than you think. But as we've been saying, it's been pretty good for them over the years. I guess coming down to this with the triumvirate here that we're talking about,
the holy trinity of football.
I guess to boil it down, and so many people are going to really break this down, is Kraft chose Brady. Is that what you can get to?
That's what. So it felt like if people believe this is a choice, it feels like Bob Kraft temporarily chose Tom Brady. He chose the emotions of Tom Brady in the situation surrounding Jimmy Garoppolo over the pragmatic football decision-making of Bill Belichick. But, I think this takes on a whole new life if it results in an action, right? If it results in somebody, hey, the Patriots moving on from Tom Brady.
Right.
Or, hey, Bill Belichick deciding to no longer be with the Patriots.
Well, that's the only thing that can happen at this point, right? Because Bob Kraft is basically, if this played out this way, said he's staying.
Right.
So the only one who would be going would be that guy.
Right. And I'm not saying it can't happen. Based off people that I've spoken with, I've been given no indication.
No way it's happening.
That Bill Belichick has any desire to leave the game of football. Bill Belichick is for my money, the greatest football coach ever.
Maybe the greatest coach ever.
Maybe the greatest coach in all of team sports ever. He's also a pretty simple man in that, his interest outside of football, it's not this vast array
It's
of
lacrosse.
It's right. It's lacrosse. Right. It's spending time with his family on Nantucket. That's kind of what he does. He plays golf. It's a short list there. So it's not as if, it'd be one thing if you felt like this was somebody who was compelled by the opportunities outside of football and saw a ton of life to go experience. Be difficult for me to envision Bill Belichick not return to the Patriots next year.
Or I think it would be very difficult to envision him not being involved in football somewhere if he wanted to. But I think Field Yates with us, our ESPN insider, the thing that Mike and I sort of came to this morning is, from a football perspective, we sort of understood why you would trade Jimmy Garoppolo, because the only way you were going to keep him past the deadline was you're going to have to put a franchise tag on him, and you're not going to put your franchise tag on your backup quarterback. Now, it was weird when at the time they didn't have a backup quarterback. They went and got Brian Hoyer, who was familiar with them. But if you think about the logistics, if you believed, and clearly the impetus and the indication was they believed Tom, or someone did believe that Tom was going to be able to play this way for 2 or 3 more years, there was no real way to keep Jimmy Garoppolo.
No, that's fair. And so I did say earlier that, I thought the sort of pragmatic approach by the Patriots was intending to keep Jimmy Garoppolo through this season. And one of the ways that you justify that is by using the franchise tag on him, which does work. We've seen it work with the Patriots previously. Matt Castle, after filling in for Brady in 2008, was franchise tagged. At the same time, he had been starting for the entire year, and at that point, the franchise tag was $14.7 million. It'll be around $25 million this year.
For the guy that was going to be your backup.
Right. So for the guy that's going to be your backup, and remember, when you franchise tag a player, obviously you can trade him, and immediately that franchise tag hit is you're washed of that.
Right.
But you have to have $25 million in cap space available in order to franchise tag a player. So it would have been the Patriots having to clear 1/7 of their salary cap for Jimmy Garoppolo to put him into a holding pattern. At that point, you could entertain trade offers. And I'll say this, too, is I think part of the reason why we're talking about this Jimmy Garoppolo trade in the vein that we are right now is how well he played. Like, if Jimmy Garoppolo had gone to San Fran and either not started because C.J. Beathard stayed healthy or had just been average, we wouldn't be talking about this in quite the same way that we are right now. It feels like people are like, whoa, did they get rid of the next Tom Brady for only a second-round pick? So part of it is how Jimmy has played. But remember, when the Patriots were dealing with the possibility of trading Jimmy Garoppolo, the sample size of starts for him was 6 quarters.
Right.
It was a win against the Arizona Cardinals.
And he got hurt.
Right. And so we talk about their greatest ability being your availability. He gets hurt in a second start. So to justify the trade, not only was it probably the last chance they had to trade him, second of all, do we know what the competing offers were that would have been substantially better than what looked like at the time the 33rd or 34th pick in the upcoming draft?
So, in just about a minute left, the other side of this, Alex Guerrero, the guru for Tom Brady, is that part of it going to kind of time will smooth this over because he's basically been ousted? I mean, he's not around anymore for the sidelines or the stadium or the charter trips. He just runs a TB12 center. So is that going to kind of just go away?
I kind of think so. What's the recourse for Alex Guerrero here? He can't do anything about it. And for Brady, Brady is still getting his treatment and still working with Alex on the time that he has, which there's plenty of time for him to see Alex Guerrero on a day-to-day basis or week-to-week basis, whatever it is. I think it kind of smooths itself over. I think, personally, a lot of tension within a building can smooth itself over whenever the season concludes. If they win the Super Bowl this year, even if some of this still percolates, which is possible, you can still be successful while not being, entirely eye to eye with somebody.
See Barry Switzer for the Cowboys when they won Super Bowl 30.
No doubt about it.
There were issues on that team.
You know what can sort of rejuvenate you? 6 weeks away from the facility. You come back and you have new life. You're excited. Sometimes time does heal a lot of the wounds.
Yeah. But we'll see how it plays out going forward. Look, it's an interesting dynamic, and we should all have this kind of issue and be 13-3 and have the number 1 overall seed.
I was going to say, I got to start hating people more in my life, and then maybe I'll start getting successful.
Don't be that guy. You're doing great. What's left of Field Yates? What was your playing weight?
200 pounds.
Yeah, and now you're 110. It's ridiculous.
A little more than 110. Yeah,
he's a pipe cleaner, ladies and gentlemen.
You're being so mean to him.
No, I'm complimentary.
I'll take it.
Complimentary.
All right.
I wish I could look like Field on many levels.
One last thing. Great CBI pullover.
There you go. Chatham Bar's in.
That's right.
It was Summers on Nantucket. You were talking about yourself as well as Bill Belichick.
There you go.
The minister, Field Yates, with us on Golic and Wingo. Thanks very much. Okay, much to Golic's delight, we have an update on the Wings and the Bills and the reason why they sent that number Buffalo did to the Bengals. That's next. Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio, ESPN2.
Again, at Golic and Wingo, our Twitter page, we have the question up there for wings, for Buffalo wings, for eating wings. Do you like it with ranch, blue cheese, or with nothing like you? You don't put any ranch or blue cheese. So those are your 3 choices. This is basically off the story of the Cincinnati Bengals.
Right.
receiving from the Buffalo Bills first Andy Dalton received a bunch of money for his foundation.
Over $300,000 now, which is just crazy.
Beating Baltimore, and again, with Buffalo beating Miami, they got into the playoffs. But one of the other things Buffalo said they were going to do is Buffalo, the city, the fans, said they were going to send wings to Cincinnati. They sent 1,440. And we were trying to figure out a reason for 1,440.
Was there a significance to that number?
And so many people tweeting in, it's 120 dozen. We know.
We get that.
Is there a significance to that
120
number?
dozen.
That's. Was there any significance to any of this?
So we went a deep dive.
We did.
Not in the same way that Seth Wickersham did an investigative story for ESPN.com.
We made one phone call.
We did one phone call to get an investigative issue on the wings.
And luckily somebody answered.
More importantly, yes, somebody did answer. We went to the Bills. We called the Bills director of media relations and said, we need to know the reason for 1,440 wings, which is 120 dozen. Why was that number selected? There has to be a reason. And we found out. You know what that reason was?
There is no reason.
There is no reason.
No reason.
They just picked it arbitrarily.
I wonder how they even came to that arbitrary number.
Well, that's the thing. 100 dozen I would get. Let's give 100 dozen.
Yeah.
Where do you get to 120?
Call them back. And
get an update.
Call them back.
We need an update.
What made them actually call a place and say 120 dozen?
Why not 150 at that point?
Why not 100 dozen?
100, 150, 200. 120 seems like an odd number to arrive at.
There would have to be a reason for 120 dozen.
Maybe they were channeling Jim Kelly's 12 because it was a play by Andy Dalton, their quarterback. Although he was 14, maybe 140 would have been better because it was 14 for Andy Dalton's number, that touchdown pass that got him into the playoffs.
We got to find the answer to this.
This is going to be burning in our craw the entire day.
Yeah, not burning in our gut. If we ate a bunch of wings.
Because we don't have the wings.
Most wings you've ever eaten in one sitting?
Probably like 25.
Yeah.
Yeah, what about you?
I was in the 90s.
90s?
Yeah, there was a place.
Please tell me this was literally in the 90s when you were playing.
I want to think. I want to think. It was a place
I want you to think, too, by the way.
Called the Ground Round. I believe, I'm not positive. I was there with my brothers, and it was one of those all-you-can-eat type of deals.
You guys must have just been like, we're making money on this. The restaurant's losing money on this deal.
We turned into all-you-can-eat and drink, and both my brothers got over 100 each.
100?
Oh, yeah, I think into the teens or into the 120s. They were crazy. And I got into the 80s or 90s, and so much so, and dare I say, gallons of beer as well.
Sure.
So much so, this place,
wash it down with something.
This place had fans in there, and it wasn't the highest ceilings in the world. My brother Greg, who was 6'8", at one point You
hit the fan?
He was doing something and cheering and threw his hands in the air, and the hands went into the fan. And
so he waved his hands as if there were no repercussions, and there were repercussions.
Let me just say, he didn't feel a whole lot. You know what I'm talking about?
He was anesthetized, is what you're saying?
He just had to use the other hand for the wings for a while.
Now, was there a active competition between the three of you to find out who could scarf the most?
Yeah, there kind of was.
There had to be, right?
We were going to go into it knowing it was all the wings you could eat. We were going to eat a lot of them, so we kept our own count, our own bones, of the deal. And man, there was a lot.
Okay, so the difference in age between the three of you is what completely?
Bob is like 6 years older than me. Greg's a year and a half older than me.
Okay, so it was all you were all in the same genre in terms of age there. Same category.
Yes.
You checked the same box.
We checked the same box.
All right,
we're all legal to drink, so all right, that worked.
Really the only box you need to check.
There you go.
More than anything else. All right, coming up next, we've gone deep into the Buffalo Wings.
Yes.
We're going a little deeper this time into the actual wild card games.
Good.
We will get you set for wild card weekend, plus another Wings update. It's coming next.